Good morning. Well, kids, we're back at it. Today is Monday, April 20th. As you probably heard at the end of the week last week, this is how we're going to do school until the end of the year, right up till May 22nd. At that point, you'll have another week to do anything makeup related and those kinds of things. And we got to figure out how to get you back in the school to get anything. But for better or for worse, this is where we're at, and this is what we're going to continue to do for the next month or so. All right, so I appreciate you watching my videos. I appreciate you listening and doing the quizzes so that I know that you're getting some good information, hopefully, out of these lessons. Now, where we left off, I want to quickly review some of the things from the severe weather packet that were on the quiz the last time. Um, Again, very quickly, and then we'll go into some new material here shortly. So when we look at this information, it says, why worry about thunderstorms? Remember, I told you worrying is not what I want you to do. Be informed, be smart, be prepared. If you do all of those things, you don't have to worry. All right. So this is part about being informed. And we'll make plans a little bit later on for how to stay safe and some of this stuff as well. So you can see some people die of lightning strikes, some people die in tornadoes. We'll talk about straight line winds a little bit more today. The real killer, if there is one, are flash floods and flooding. That leads all other parts of thunderstorms as far as the number of people that are killed every year. We will talk about that today as well. And hail, we know it can be big. Imagine a softball-sized chunk of ice falling at 100 miles an hour. It's going to do some damage. All right, so watch out for all 5 of those things, but be prepared. The parts of a thunderstorm, notice that we've got a developing stage, a mature stage, a dissipating stage. The mature stage is the one that's most dangerous. Developing, it's just getting started. The conditions are becoming right for it. Mature stage, that's when the real action is going to happen with the heavy rain, the heavy wind, lightning, thunder, hail, all of those kinds of things. And then dissipating stage is kind of that end of the life cycle of the thunderstorm. Tornadoes, lots of facts about them, a rotating column of air. There's 1,200 tornadoes a year in the U.S. Some people do die. They do move along the ground at 30 miles an hour, and so on and so forth. Here's the scale that's used. Obviously, a 0 is the smallest and least dangerous tornado, all the way up to a 5. By the way, the one that occurred in Oakfield, ask your parents about that. That was an EF5, and it did some pretty serious damage to the village of Oakfield. Looking down a little bit further, this is how a tornado happens. We have warm rising air and cool sinking air, and when they meet, they make this rotating column of air. And if there's a strong enough updraft, which is right here in that middle picture, it tips that rotation over, and we end up having a tornado, or a funnel cloud first, and then potentially a tornado. We see there's weak, strong, and violent tornadoes. The most dangerous are the violent. They're also the least frequent. Less than 1% of all tornadoes are those violent tornadoes. And then this part, the tornado fiction and fact, this is the most interesting to me because there were a lot of things that I didn't know, or I was told incorrectly when I was younger. For instance, open the windows before a tornado comes so the house doesn't blow up. My mom taught me that. It's totally false. All right. Don't do that. Take the time to find a safe place. Another one, climb underneath a highway overpass, a bridge, right? Climb up under there, right up on the edge, out of the way. It's the worst place to be. It increases the wind through that section. So don't ever go under a highway overpass during a tornado. You're better to go off in a ditch. Out in the middle of the open, get low, all right? And then the last one, It's safe to take shelter in a mobile home. And unfortunately, there is no safe place to be in a mobile home during a tornado. So it's going to be important for us to talk about making plans if that happens to be where we're at. All right. Now, new information. What causes lightning? Lightning does kill people. It can be dangerous. It's also very pretty, and people like to be outside and looking at it, maybe trying to take pictures of it. All right. Very briefly, how does lightning happen? Basically, you have different sizes of ice particles inside that cumulonimbus cloud, inside that thunderstorm cloud. And when those ice crystals, the heavier ones fall and the lighter ones go up or stay kind of where they're at within that. And when they bump into each other, they become electrically charged. And so the difference in electrical charge between the top of the cloud, the middle and bottom of the cloud, and the ground ends up creating a place for that energy to be released. All right. We can get into specifics about which ones are positive and which ones are negative. Honestly, it's not that important for you to know that. All right. You just need to know that there is a difference in charge between the cloud and the ground. And when enough electricity is built up, a discharge takes place between the two, which takes the form of a lightning bolt. All right. Now, there are some lightning facts that are here. I'll probably ask you about a couple of these on the quiz. There is no safe place outdoors when lightning is taking place. Interestingly, 80% of lightning fatality victims are male, typically between the ages of 15 and 40. Why is that? That's right. Probably because males make not as good decisions, especially at that age. Like, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna finish my golf round, or I'm gonna keep playing baseball, or I'm not going in the house yet because, the storm isn't that bad, those kinds of things. Um, and I think that decision making is probably what leads to that 80% of fatalities being male. All right. Lots of wildfires are started in the US because of lightning strikes. It's actually an important thing for nature. Unfortunately, we build our houses and communities and buildings in the middle of nature, and so those fires can be dangerous for us. And then the lightning itself is up to 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which is hotter than the surface of the sun. By the way, the surface of the sun is not the hottest part of the sun. It's actually one of the coolest parts of the sun, but it's still hot. Um, and lightning is hotter than even that. So you might think to yourself, well, how could it be that someone could get hit by lightning and not instantly roast? Like, why wouldn't they be cooked immediately? Well, what you have to think about is how long does lightning last? And just like I snap my fingers, that is just about how long lightning lasts, right? So just like touching that extremely hot stove or something like that, if you touch it for just a very brief time, you're not going to start on fire. You might end up with a burn, but it's not going to start you on fire immediately. So that's something important to keep in mind about lightning. What it also talks about in this last sentence is thunder. And how does thunder happen? Thunder is a result of lightning. Lightning being so hot, it heats up the air around the lightning bolt very quickly because it's 50,000 degrees, right? So it heats up that air, and when we heat up air, it expands. Well, just as fast as the lightning happened, the lightning is gone. And so, just as fast as the air is heated up, it's cooled off and it contracts again. And when that air expands and contracts very rapidly, it creates shock waves or sound waves, and we hear that as thunder. All right, so that's how lightning and thunder form. Here's a couple of important things, some fact and fiction about lightning. Again, I was totally taught wrong about this. When I was younger, they said, all right, when you see lightning, start counting. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. Bang, you hear the thunder. You count 4 seconds, it's 4 miles away. As it turns out, you're actually supposed to take that number of seconds, in my example 4, and divide it by 5, and that tells you how many miles. So let's try that again. Lightning strikes 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi. Boom, you hear the thunder. 5 seconds. Back in my day, that was 5 miles away. In reality, we have to take that 5, divide it by 5, and we end up with it being 1 mile away. All right. So if you see lightning, you're close enough to be struck by it. All right. So you need to take proper precautions. Some other fictions. If it's not raining, there's no danger from lightning. False, right? In those thunderstorms as they're building, there can be plenty of times when it's not raining, but lightning can happen. Also said that this one is interesting. People struck by lightning should not be touched because they carry an electrical charge. Like you've seen it in a movie, somebody gets electrocuted or struck by lightning and they like glow or something, right? And so you can't touch them. False, all right? That electricity doesn't stay within the person. So if someone gets struck by lightning, please give them medical attention. Call for medical attention right away, all right? Another one that you may have heard of is heat lightning. There is no such thing as heat lightning. It's just lightning that's too far off in the distance to hear the thunder. So heat lightning is just like regular old lightning. It's just a long ways away. All right. So some people might be like, "Oh, it's just heat lightning. We don't nothing to worry about. It happens on a hot summer night." True. It's a real thunderstorm, real lightning. It's just quite a ways away. All right. Now, some other quick hitters here for the other parts of a thunderstorm. Straight line winds. Often people are confused or tricked by straight line winds. If a tornado hits a forest, in the wind of a tornado, they're going in all directions. So trees are going to be tipped this way and this way and this way and this way, right? Trees are going to be scattered, pointing in all directions. With straight line wind, the wind is only coming from one direction, going in one direction. So all the trees will be tipped in a certain direction during straight line winds. All right. Flash floods and flooding, the most dangerous. Some interesting statistics about flash floods and flooding. Flash floods are going to occur really quickly within 6 hours of heavy rain. Flooding itself usually takes longer because all the streams and rivers are pouring into a place and slowly rising the water levels. Flash floods are different, happens a lot quicker. 6 inches of moving water can knock you off your feet. Don't try to walk across flowing water, especially in a flood situation. And 2 feet or less can take a car, truck, SUV, and carry that away. All right, so moving water is extremely powerful and extremely dangerous. Hail. Hail, we've talked about a couple of times already with precipitation. Just a couple of facts about that. The largest verified chunk was 7 inches across. So that's like that big around. They can travel at 100 miles an hour or more. And the biggest one was 1.67 pounds. So 1.5 pound chunk, 100 miles an hour. If that smacks a car, a head, it's going to do some serious damage. All right. And then to wrap up today's lesson, this map just depicts the average number of days that we have thunderstorms. And you can see here in Wisconsin, we're in that 30 range, 30-something days where we have thunderstorms, all the way down to here in Florida by where Mickey Mouse lives, 100 days of thunderstorms. So depending upon where you're at, will determine, your relative safety of thunderstorms. In general, anywhere in the U.S. is going to have thunderstorms, so it's important to know a little something about them. All right, that's it. That's the lesson for today. There is a short quiz that goes along with this, so make sure you do that. If you have questions, email me, Google Hangouts, ask for a Google meeting. I'd be happy to do that. Otherwise, do your best, and I will see you tomorrow.